reptilians. Are we talking physical reptilians? Is that a thing? Is that, in your opinion, or?
I saw that she was actually had an Arcturian life that helped build the Stonehenge.
What?
So June 2026, they're going to plan a disclosure event by like the Galactic Federation. Like a large Galactic Federation ship will essentially emerge through it. That way, it's just, hey, we're here.
We're here, yep.
Same thing with the Reptilians as well. So there are some that are, powerful healers set up Stonehenge. It's supposed to be essentially like a multi-dimensional portal.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the Let's Get Chattin podcast. I am Josh, I am back, and I'm sorry for the 1 week hiatus. I've just been moving house. John doesn't need to know about this, but anyway, I've just been moving house, got a new studio. It looks way better in my opinion, so that's cool. And as always, if you're listening, just make sure to hit that like, comment, share that shit. Tell your nan about it, tell your dog about it. Everybody, just tell everyone about it. And then the more people who listen, the more interesting people hopefully reach out to me and talk to me. So yeah, that's it. That's great. But speaking of interesting people, we have John with us today. Now, as always, as everybody who listens knows, what I tend to do is try not to do too much of the talking. So what I'm going to do is start us off by asking John, how are you and who is John?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Josh. And I like your setup. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Quick question for you. Is that a Pepsi Clear, or is that just water in a Pepsi bottle?
It's just water. Hashtag not an ad.
So I'm gonna be 43 in October, and I remember as a kid having the Pepsi Clear. So I don't know if that's
what that is.
Oh wow, yeah. So that's this thing that whatever chemical compound that Pepsi tried to push on Americans back in the late 80s, early 90s, and they called it Pepsi Clear. And it tasted almost like the original thing, but there was no dyes in it.
Oh wow!
But
I didn't know that was a thing.
What they did to get that flavor? Yeah. So.
Yeah, right.
Americans, we come up with all the crazy ideas. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So my fiance's American.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. I do come over often enough. I was actually planning on moving over, but yeah.
Yeah, I find it too. It's like I'm realizing I go to a store and I'm looking at all these options. I'm like, they don't have what I like. And I'm like, Oh my God, it's such a white person to say, white person thing to say. It's like, they call it first world problems. Sometimes I call it white people problems. It's like this just entitlement that we have sometimes where it's like, oh my gosh, who am I? People are starving around the world and here I'm complaining because they don't have the exact pancake mix that I'm looking for. It's freaking ridiculous. So, all right. What was your question about me?
So basically, okay. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Sure. My name is John Knapp. I'm a Galactic Akashic Reader. I'm also a psychic medium. I'm working on being a channeler. I have beings that are trying to channel through me right now. So I'm working in that realm and in training for it. And I also do a lot of healing and activations, whether it's a star, galactic, fairy realm, or human activations as well.
Okay, wow. So a lot of people will hear that and that'll blow their fucking mind. To be totally honest, mine included. So what caught me out mainly was fairy realm, but I want to get to that.
Yeah.
So obviously, Akashic Records. For the people who are listening and probably have no idea about some of the stuff you just mentioned, can you touch a little bit deeper into what the Akashic Records are, what you do with them, and all this sort of thing?
Sure. So the Akashic Records are essentially a living memory, like your library of every thought, every action, everything you've ever said, every life that you've had, every blueprint, pre-incarnation blueprint that you've ever had throughout all your, not only all your past lives, but future lives and potentials, your parallel lives as a soul, as well as the alternate realities that are taking place around you as well.
Okay.
And the reason why we can tap into these as an Akashic reader is essentially because time doesn't exist. Linear time does not exist in the higher dimensions and outside this matrix that we have on Earth. So it's all happening right now as around us and on different planets in the galactic realm and different dimensions, and that's why it's like the information is right there that we can essentially tap into.
Okay, so that's a lot to take in for most people. But luckily for me, I've spoken to a fair few people, and so when you talk about dimensions, are we talking about like unlimited parallel dimensions, that sort of thing? Like that's the view, right?
Yeah. So you have. It's unclear how many dimensions there are. I've heard up to 40 dimensions. Now,
Okay.
on Earth, we are within like what's called like a 12 dimensional grid on this planet, and what we can access is right up to the 12 dimensions, and then after that, you have like these different realities essentially, where you have more angelic beings and other dimensional beings that go beyond that. And there's still like, I mean, I've been exploring for several years now, the psychic realm, the galactic realm, and I'm still learning stuff every single day, and about different dimensional groups. Some will incarnate here, some don't. Some never have incarnated here.
Okay, that's interesting because, with regards to learning something new every day is something I always try and do anyway. But I suppose with what you're learning about it is literally endless possibilities of like what can be, you know. So how does one get into all of these things that you've spoken about? Because you were in the military before, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how does one go from being in the military to this?
I still haven't figured that one out yet.
Okay.
So I've always known I've been psychic.
Okay.
From when I was about 5, 6 years old, my great grandfather passed away at 105. And
Wow.
yeah, we have some decent genes in our family. So he was right off the boat Italian in America, could barely speak English.
Okay.
And, so I only remember him saying a few words. I mean, he was old as hell when I was a kid meeting him. So after he passed away, though, it was the first death I encountered as a child. And within maybe a few weeks, a couple months, he came to me in a dream. It's like he like literally like it was like he like popped his head out from underneath the bed. I mean, scary and creepy as hell. But here he is, like trying to talk to me as his 105 self. Couldn't speak English, so he was trying to use his hands. He's trying to make gestures and talk.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand what was going on with that. But as time went on, and other family members would pass away, they kept coming to me and with messages, always through the dream state. And that, what I come to learn that was like part of an astral travel, and they come to me through the dream state in that way. And that was just the easiest way to connect with me. And a lot of times they'd have messages like, I'm okay, I'm not in pain anymore, tell so-and-so I love them, look out for your mom, for me, that type of thing. So I told my parents, I think at one point, I didn't know who else to talk to. It's not like I had tons of friends about it. And they're like, yeah, we, my mom's mother was said to be psychic.
Okay.
My other grandmother, she was, partly psychic as well. So it runs in the family. And what I've learned too is that my mother and my twin sister actually were all healers in the Orion constellation together. And we chose to come here to Earth to assist in the ascension process on Earth. I've had many other lives throughout the galactic realm and higher up than that, but I just remember being shown one of those specific lives. Like that was kind of the turning point. Like we helped. You've probably heard of like the Orion Wars a little bit.
Little bits and bobs, yeah.
Yeah, kind of channeled from Star Wars, basically. Like
Yeah.
Lucas is an Orion who came, got that information and brought it mainstream, and then made billions from it. But he so anyway, so we were in the Orion constellation as these like triplet healers, like these three girls there, and we we helped the turning point of an Orion. And then we decided to come to Earth to do the same thing and try to help on Earth. And my mother actually essentially took the hit to incarnate as our mother, even though she was our sister in that life, and raise my twin and I now. And the interesting part is that my sister and I were both born on my mother's birthday.
Oh, wow.
And that was kind of like the little nod. That we were all together triplets in this life in Orion, and that's why we did it in our we were born on our mother's birthday in this life.
So that must be like pretty like mind-boggling. I wanted to say mind-fucking, but I said it anyway. When you realize like there's all these different like planetary beings and dimensions, like when you was it something you learnt this, or was it something that just come over you and you were like, what the fuck? Like, how does that happen?
I'm just waiting for one of those kids in the background to come in and just drop an F-bomb on you. You're like, where'd you hear that from? Which my kids have done to me. I'm like, oh my God, what kind of an example am I saying? But you do you. It's all right. Okay, so what happened with that? As a kid, I always was interested in aliens. I didn't know that there was like Pleiadians, Sirians, Arcturians. I thought it was just like, your average like
gray.
Your average gray. In fact, my sister and I were kidnapped or abducted through the astral realm when we were children, which is a memory that I recently recovered. I'm like, holy crap, they freaking abducted us. Like,
I need to hear that story.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I remember as a kid, I was like probably like 5, 6 years old. Like it was like the dream state. So we're in this is generally easier for galactics, for aliens, the Greys, to abduct your fourth dimensional, your astral body, rather than your physical body. Because what happens is they're in like fourth, fifth dimensional. They're higher fourth dimensional beings, and us being in the third dimension physically, it's difficult for them to tap into the third dimension. They don't want to because they don't want you to remember what happened, or fight back. So what they do is they generally take you in your sleep. They raise your energy field into the fourth dimension, and then that's when they like essentially pick you off and bring you into their realm, and onto their ships from there. So I remember them like trying to entice us. So what's happening is they generally, when they're trying to get you in a conscious way, they want you to. They're still bound. They're bound by your free will as a human. So when what they essentially need you to do is agree to come with them at times.
It's like when you have to invite a vampire in.
Exactly. That's exactly where it comes from. Yeah, exactly. So basically what it is that what happened with us is I remember that we were like at school, and I remember seeing the UFO there, and this is again in the dream state, and they're like trying to entice us to come aboard, and we're like, no, this isn't cool. And then they brought us to like a carnival that was in town, and I don't know if you guys have like those carnivals where it looks like a spinning UFO.
Yeah.
And you're like pressed up against it, and I remember as a kid, like you're stuck there and you're trying to like rotate and fall over.
It's like the G-force, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's how they enticed us. Like, oh, come aboard our ride, and we went into the ride. I just remember these little freaking gray guys, like 3 feet tall, and they like walked us aboard. And then that's all I remember. I don't remember the actual experience. And then I thought of it like 30 years ago, and 30 years later, I'm like, son of a gun. So what I've learned from working with other Starseeds and the Galactic Akashic Records, a lot of times, if you have a life in Orion or fought like Greys or the Reptilians or anything like those bad guys out there, they tend to hold a grudge. So sometimes they'll have karmic cords attached to you. Sometimes they will put trackers, implants in your bodies, like,
Yeah.
and they get mad about that. So there's this festival. I think it was like the Galactic Expo in Nashville, Tennessee,
I
back
love
in
that
May.
place. I
Yeah.
bought
Oh,
this
you've been there?
T-shirt
Yeah,
from
it's
there
cool.
actually.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the first time I've been there, and I participated in this expo. And the night before I left for the expo, I was actually attacked by several like interdimensional greys. And I had to fight them off. And then later, when I drove that, I'm like, "What the heck was that all about?" And I got some insight from a colleague of mine. I guess I pissed off some people in a past life. They hold a grudge. And then, the next day, I'm doing healings with several people that had lives in Orion as like freedom fighters, like resistance fighters. They call it. They were called the Black League.
Okay.
In Orion. They were like guerrilla warfare resistance fighters. So a couple of these people, like they literally were riddled with trackers and implants in their systems, and I essentially had to like dissolve all these trackers. They're all energetic. They're fourth dimensional like imagery in them. But I had to dissolve all of them, and some of them had like a portal. This one lady, she had a portal over her head, essentially sucking in all the divine energy coming through that was supposed to go through her crown chakra. It went through the portal, so it was like a black hole taking it.
Right. Okay.
So she was just drained, and then she had like a tracker, like basically it was like an inhibitor over her third eye. And
Right.
once I
Okay.
dissolved that, she's like, "Oh my God, this tension just released." And I told her the same thing, and then she just started feeling like a rush of energy come through. And there was another
Yeah.
guy, same thing. Like he was like, he had the same type of issues as a combatant in that life. Well, no kidding. That night, I could feel that they set up a portal in my hotel room and were trying to attack me because they were mad that I'm doing this type of work and trying to help others.
So, with regards to like when you say you're fighting them off and they're attacking you, is it this is all happening in like the fourth dimension, not like what we would call our physical realm as such? Is that
So,
correct?
yes. So when they were surrounding me the night before I left for Tennessee, that's the six of them. Same thing with the free will that I was talking about. I was hoping this podcast would be more love and light, but I guess we're going a little bit talking about the the darker side a little bit. But if you do energy work out there, it's important to ground, clear, and protect yourself.
Yeah.
That's extremely helpful. So any of your listeners who are dabbling within the psychic, magic, whatever, ground clear and protect yourself. Do it for the right reasons. I guess just add that little disclaimer there so we don't get
Yeah.
sued.
Well,
So,
we had a lady on the other week, and she did actually go through some sort of things that you can say protection. I call them spells. I know they're not spells, but like for most people, that's sort of how they're gonna sort of understand
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And it's funny because I just look at it as prayer. That's
yeah,
how I look at
exactly.
it.
That's
It's
what it
essentially
is. It's
prayer,
prayer.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So you mentioned about like trackers and
Mm-hmm.
reptiles, reptilians, should I say, all these
Mm-hmm.
sort of things. So these are things I'm like super interested in. See, I'll be totally honest. I'm a bit of a conspiracy buff. Like
Yeah.
that's where my head goes all the time.
Okay,
So
so there are some in the earth.
so
I'll
this
tell
is
you
what I was
that.
gonna say. So obviously I watch a lot of like alien documentaries,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, wherever I find alien, ghost, or conspiracy stuff, I will watch it. I'm obsessed. So with regards to like these people who they see these like little metal sort of BB pellets that once they have their abduction experience and they find them in their body, is that what you would call like a tracker as well, or?
Definitely. So those are like actual three-dimensional trackers that they've
Yeah.
dropped into their body. Um, I haven't encountered that just yet. I've seen more energetic or fourth dimensional trackers in
Yeah.
the body. So they're in their energy system, but they can still do the same thing. So a lot of times they tend to go after people whether they've held essentially like a combat role against these negative entities. Not everyone, but some. And then also they might be coming after you if you have like a pretty significant role as like a light worker on the planet.
Okay.
You might not think of yourself as a light worker, but because you're doing this work and you are assisting in others' awakenings and helping educate, that is still a light worker presence. So
I'll take that.
yeah,
take it.
yeah, exactly. So what happens is these guys, they're kind of menacing. They're on a losing side, being on the dark side.
Yeah.
And because of that, they just try to menace people. So sometimes they can scare. I've talked to light workers or other psychics who've had the gift and say, I had this happen to me when I was a kid, and I shut it all down and I'll never go back to it. And it's like, that's okay. That's your choice. That's your free will to do so. But every time somebody says that, it's like, you think it's like, damn, they got another one. They scared one more person off, and they've tried it with me countless times, and they'll keep trying it. But it's just I'm too hard-headed to give it up.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just how it goes. So, but now I fight back.
That's awesome.
In the realm. So, I remember, I think it was like maybe 2 months ago, my astral self sometimes will be on essentially on alert. And I just remember seeing something standing in my room. I still don't know what it was. It was like maybe a shadow person or something. Where in the past, I remember, 10 years ago, just watching this shadow, cross into the room and try to attack me. And this time when it happened, when I saw it, I literally lunged at it in the astral realm and just started wrestling and fighting this thing. So building up that that strength, that energetic strength, and confidence to take these things on, but still understanding if you need to help, call it in. It's your free will to ask for help. Archangel Michael, guides, other angels out there, God. That might be just the easiest thing to say. God, tag God in to help you. So it's kind of how I think about it now. Is archangels and God, they come. That's why we have prayers, because you have to ask for it. That's your free will. So they're essentially like your tag team partner on the side of the ring, and you're getting drop kicked by Hulk Hogan or whatever, and
you got Devon Dudley.
Yeah, exactly. So. And it's you got somebody on the other side, and they're waiting to get tagged in by you so they can come in and help you. And if you don't tag them in and use that free will, they can't come in and help you and get in that ring. So I remember a long time ago, same thing, something was attacking me in the middle of the night, and I tried to fight it in a physical sense, and I realized I can't win against this thing. It's too strong. So I immediately went to, a prayer, and I just said something. It was just a natural prayer, for protection, and all of a sudden it just disappeared. And from there on out, I was okay, every night before I go to bed, I gotta do a prayer. So, and I do one for whoever's in the house too. So if my children are staying with me for the night or the weekend, same thing. I'm doing it for them. My dog, they come after her sometimes. She gets included in the prayer as well.
Hell yeah, that's good. Animals count too. I love my animals. Actually, my dog, she can be a pain, but I do love her. With regards to religion and things like that, obviously you mentioned God a few times. How does having this sort of lifestyle experience and so I'm going to say your belief, I'll call it your belief, is probably the easiest way to call it, although I'm totally on board with it. How does that align with a religion and things like that?
So it just seems for me it's more of an expanded awareness, that many of these religions got a lot of things right, that were very similar to to what we've learned in the spiritual world, and the metaphysical world.
Yeah.
But some of them became ego-based in a way. To give you an example, like I call myself like a Catholic by default. It's like Italian family, we're all Catholic. We're like, you should probably get, we got to get confirmed. Then you got to get the baptism and all that. And I don't know, everything seems so serious to me, as a kid. I'm like, I don't know, this just seems serious. Like I don't want to take it. It just doesn't seem right. Like an all knowing God that still, will send you to hell if you don't, if you don't believe in him or believe in his son. Like, they have to understand that that things are a little different. And I had a friend that she joined like a non-denominational church, and for her baptism gift, I gave her a book of different religions and how they're all kind of tied together. So there was like Jesus, Hinduism, Buddha, whatever else different ones out there. And I don't think she didn't seem happy about that, or her friends from the church. But I was like, I just want her to expand her mind. Like, just look at the teachings,
Yeah,
100%. And as I've seen it in the records, and I've had other psychics confirm it to me too as well, is that Jesus was basically a yogi. Like there was that time in his life from childhood to essentially, his early 30s, like he took off. Like he traveled to Egypt, he went to India, he was in Nepal, he was learning Reiki, he was learning from the wise men of India and the yogis of India. He was learning from all these places. He didn't just like get it and then was like, yes, I'm Jesus, God's son. Like he was trying to tell us, like, we are all sons of God. He was just an ascended master that, was taking on that role through the Christ consciousness.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, personally, I think religion's a bit culty. It's a bit of a cult to me, and that's all I say on the matter, because I get a bit. People don't like it when I say it, but what can you do?
I've had a few people call me out, mostly online, because no one wants to say.
Oh yeah, that's what people. So, yeah, of course.
But I'd be happy to have like a conversation with somebody. Maybe I learned something from them. I love having discussions with people, especially if they take an opposite view. Like, as long as we can just enjoy and talk, to each other, and not over each other's heads. I think that it's like. That's what we need more in life is, that's how, not be afraid of these conversations, and not shy away. That way we can learn from each other. Like, I don't know, I want to ask people different culture stuff. I'm like, I don't want to be, I don't know, like...
You don't want to offend
racist
them,
white guy offending them or whatever. Yeah. I truly just want to know more about your life and your culture. But how do I say that without, hurting your feelings? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe one day I'll get the idea, but...
Everyone's a bit wet at the minute.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer anyone's life. What's it like being a white guy? I don't know. Get free shit all the time.
You say that. It's probably the worst in England at the minute.
But, I'd be happy to have, learn from others, and have them learn from me. It's such a great experience.
100%. And speaking of, things, how did people take it when you first started talking about this? Like, I know you said mentioned your family like healers, so they sort of understand it, I guess. Yeah. But I'm assuming was there a few people who were a bit like, whoa, this guy's a bit kooky. Like, how did it go down?
So, it's interesting. I have several Earthseed friends. Like, they're from the human group consciousness. Like, not Starseeds, never been in the Galactic. I remember I did a tarot, a graduation night tarot last year for a friend's, a kid who graduated. And they mentioned it to my buddy, and first thing out of his mouth, "Oh, you're one of those people now?" I'm like, oh God.
There's such a negative thing on all of this. I've spoken to so many people who are mediums, psychics, so many people who do different things. It could be anything from Reiki to, like I say, mediumship, this sort of thing. They're all normal people. They say they're one of them because they expect you to be walking around in a robe made of grass and I've
seen those. Yeah, I've seen them.
I live next to Stonehenge. I see it all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I see the druids at summer solstice. It's crazy stuff. But I think part of them just wear the outfit to look cool for the summer solstice. But how was it sort of, for lack of a better term, coming out with this to people?
Yeah, you know, I pick and choose who I tell. I had the lucky thing is when I went through my spiritual awakening, the first thing I needed, I just knew I needed, was to find a community. I was
So what
like,
triggered that? Sorry to interrupt, but
oh
what
sure,
triggered
yeah,
the
yeah.
spiritual awakening?
Okay, so I said I've known for many years I'm psychic. You know, it was just kind of like a matter of a fact thing. So I was
Yeah,
like, okay, it's just there. So after I got back from Iraq, it really heightened. I think I had an opportunity for a spiritual awakening then, but
yeah.
I was so I was just so like hampered down with PTSD from combat in Iraq and all that. That you know, I had to, I didn't say I shut it down, but I had to deal with my shit first,
I think a lot of
like
people do
depression,
mention
PTSD, and all that. Yeah.
a lot of people do mention they had to have a big like low
Mhm.
before they hit that spiritual awakening. Everyone I've spoken to has gone down and then
Yeah. Yeah,
skyrocket.
so that's often called the dark night of the soul.
Okay.
So my next one was 2020, and many people have had the same thing. So some people had like 2012, others had you know, in between then. 2020 was mine, is probably millions of others, same thing. So
The big C.
yeah, exactly. When we all got grounded and sent to our rooms without dinner, so for 6 months. So I ended up, yeah. So late January, my son was born late January. So we had a birthday party for
Was it the
him.
30th by any chance?
No, I think
Ah, mine's the
shoot.
30th. That's why I
Oh,
asked.
okay. Was it the 26th? That's it.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Part of the
So
cool crew.
yeah, exactly. So Aquarius. So yeah. So we had a birthday party for him. It's like right at the end of the party, I just started feeling like exhausted and sick.
Hmm.
I'm like, what the heck did this come from? Like, did I just eat something wrong? Like, I just got for 24 hours, just, you know, it felt like a bug or whatever, just completely out of it. But the problem is, ever since then, like I've had this happen multiple times after my spiritual awakening. But what I learned is, I don't know if maybe your other guests have talked about spiritual veils and shedding them. These are like
Hmm.
essentially
No.
energetic barriers. You've heard like probably the great the veil of forgetfulness
Hmm.
that we incarnate under. Well, spiritually, we also have these metaphysical barriers or veils that we have in each incarnation for our individual souls or for
Okay.
each individual incarnation. So we have many layers of those. And those are meant to essentially start coming off and shedding off your system once you start on your spiritual path, and that helps connect like your spiritual abilities, your psychic abilities, your connection to source or God,
Yeah.
and be able to receive messages and all that. So in January, I just got like hit with a ton of like lost veils, and that put me out for a couple days, and then like 3 months later the world stops, comes to an end, and that's when I like felt this full disconnect from my career as a filmmaker. I was
Okay.
going from like literally like I think it's like March 13th, I'm about to have the best career of my life as a filmmaker, doing reality shows and big documentaries and
Oh
stuff like
shit.
that. And then literally, you know, the next day, the entire world, you know, ends. So, and then all of a sudden I was like, what am I doing? Why,
Hmm.
you know, it's like, why people are talking about all this, you know, equipment, gear, cameras. I was like, I don't even want to go back to filmmaking. I don't even get it. Why was I doing this in the first place? I was like, I just want to do something that's like purpose driven now, like helping others. Like that's what I wanted to do as a kid, like help others, be in the military, be in law
100%.
enforcement. So that was like the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And then it intermixed with, and that was part of like the beginning also of the dark night of the soul for me. So
Yeah.
it's that questioning, shedding of those veils, shedding of like identities. I'm a filmmaker, I'm a Marine, I'm a police officer, whatever it is, like shedding of those identities. And then shedding of like the family unit. You know, we had, my ex and I had finally like divorced and
Yeah.
separated, and long time coming, but still like it needed to happen. So it flushed out. And then trying to start over and trying to figure out what I was going to do next. So for a year or so, I kind of floundered, like working on like an educational program to help other guys out there going through what I was going through, like with, finding the right person in their life. So basically like a dating program and stuff. So I went that route for a while, and then I had a psychic reading from a friend bought me a tarot reading for my birthday, and the psychic, she was, I was like, okay, maybe she's real, maybe she's fake. I've dealt with, some frauds in life. So she's going through this reading, and everything seems to be resonating. And then she pulls out this card, and it's probably like the High Priestess card, which is all about like psychic abilities, intuition. And she's like, "You could be doing this. You're psychic. Like you should buy a deck and start learning." And it's like the light bulb moment for me. And I was like,
"Oh wow,
you know what? This is," and it finally gave me direction and gave me purpose. So that's when I started like consuming spiritual podcasts. Trying to find information, online courses, finding that community, and really getting more into meditation. I had just started doing meditation just within a couple months prior to that reading, but it was for like elevating my own frequency. It was just something new to me at the time. I'm like, oh, I want to be a better person. I want to attract better women into my life. Date, more like, better class of women out there. So that was kind of like that was like the selfish reason where I started. And then I started seeing like beings in the side of my eye and having vivid dreams and like working through all this stuff. And then like one day meditating, all of a sudden this gray alien comes into my vision. And I'm like, what is going on here? Who is this guy? And I couldn't feel any negative from him. It was very neutral energy. And I was like, okay, if you don't have any messages for me, like you got to go. So he left. Maybe a couple weeks later, I was starting to take my psychic development classes. And again, he comes to me in a dream, or comes not in my dream, right in my vision. Like literally, my eyes are open, I'm conscious, and it's like right here. He's in my face, and I'm like, same thing. You got to go if this doesn't work. If you don't have anything for me, giving him the benefit of the doubt. So I sent him away. I had a couple disturbing dreams that night that was trying to like essentially take me off of my path doing the psychic work. So trying to drive me away from trying
to scare you away from
teachers,
your good work.
The teachers, the students I was in classes with for psychic development. And then a week later, same thing. I had a download of information all about. I got the knowing that it was all about Orion. It was like these like damaged buildings, destruction, like classified documents with like the redacted black print on it. But it was all hieroglyphics, not like very like alien language basically. And I was like, this is about Orion. I barely knew anything about Orion. So next night I asked one of our psychic development teachers, like, what the heck is going on? I'm seeing these aliens, I'm seeing this, I got this download. And she's like, you're extraterrestrial, right? I'm like, no, that's a thing? Like, she's like, you're a starseed. Yeah, I'm like, I mean, I've always liked aliens, but I didn't know that, like, you could be one, in a human body, but that's where I was. So that was what I call my galactic awakening. That's when that's when I started consuming everything. I'm like, I got to know more about this shit.
100%,
I'm going off, I'm learning more. I tried before in the past, like years before, and early 2000s, like internet searches was like, I mean, you don't know what nut jobs were out there, like talking like what was right, what wasn't. I just didn't get it. I didn't resonate with it back then. That's now I use that word all the time. But I just like, what do I believe? I just know that there's grays, and I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're bad. That's all I knew of. And then once I started consuming and finding resources that I actually felt that was right in my heart, like using my intuition to say, okay, this feels right. Once I did that, down the road, I said, it was like, I wonder if there's a Galactic Akashic Records course that I can take. And because I knew about the Akashic Records, I had an Akashic reading before that did some great healing for me. But I was like, I want to go go off planet. So I found a Galactic Akashic Records course, that was starting within a couple of weeks of that thought in my head. So I signed up for it. I started taking the course, and like almost within like a few days, I started feeling these like dimensional shifts while I slept. And it was like I was like feeling really light and high, like I was floating in the clouds, and then I'd feel like denser and like heavier. I'm like, what is going on with me? And then I realized, okay, I'm like dimension hopping. I'm getting attuned to these different dimensions and frequencies out there. So I'd go up to like the 6th dimension, and then I'd say, okay, let me take me down to the 5th, the 4th. I go into the 3rd, and it's like this crushing feeling, like you're in a submarine.
And none at this point are you not like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, what the, like, oh shit.
I signed up for it. Yeah. I mean, like the whole thing, it's like, I still get the, oh my God moments, like, what the heck? So, but, so I'm feeling these dimensional shifts. I would talk to people, or I'd walk into a room or go to a restaurant, or I'd be at a bar or something, and I'd be like, that person's Assyrian, that person's Pleiadian, that person is like full-on fairy, like what is going on? So I'm like, I started like attuning to the Akashic Records and the different dimensions and the different frequencies.
And these people don't know that, right?
Their higher selves are open to it. Like they got the freak flag up, and they're saying, they're like, here I am, like I'm a fairy, like
unlock me.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like, I'm not gonna go up to you, like, but I'm like looking at it, it's like Syrian, Pleiadian, like, there was and I try not to like voyeur into people's lives, of course.
Sure,
like, that's
sure.
just, there's an ethical boundary, but when it's like open, somebody's like higher self is just really open to it, then it's like I try not to, it depends. Like some people I could just say, okay, you're this, but then for others, they're so open to it. I'm like pulling in like records from like first incarnation. Oh, you met your friend here at this life. You're doing this and that. I'm like, okay, John, knock it off and just enjoy your hamburger.
Just
like,
have a good day.
Just chill out, man. Like, but it's like sometimes I just walk in, like, I don't know, it was a few months ago, we were out at like an outside brewery, and this family comes up, and I'm literally like, I'm looking at one, and I think he was like Pleiadian. The wife was like Andromedan. Two of the kids were like from a couple different planets. Like one they met him in Sirius. The other one was something else. And then a couple of the children, a lot of kids, were like full on fairies. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and I told my friend, I'm like, this family is like wide open. Like they wanted me to know like all their business.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, do I go up to him and I know where you've been? It's like, what? I don't want to say any, like be that weird guy at the bar.
They might turn around and be like, what the hell is this
I don't know.
guy
Like they look like they were actually pretty open on the, on the outside. But,
yeah.
But I don't know. I guess boundaries, spiritual boundaries as well.
100%.
And a couple of times, like I think I've somewhat shut it down a bit, just so it's like because I would get, I'll have like a client like book me, and I'll look at their name, and I'll be like picking up information on them, like before I even tapped in, and before it's like weeks before their session. And I'm like, John, you're ruining the surprise. Like, I want to know what they want to do, like right in front of them. Mm-hmm. So I think I kind of shut it down a little bit, just so I can actually enjoy my day, enjoy the experience, and be surprised along with them as I'm relaying and picking up the information. But sometimes what I'll do is because I'll do like 15-minute teaser readings, because there's a lot of people out there, like one, they might not have a lot of money to put towards this. Mm-hmm. Some might just think, okay, this guy, what's going on with this guy? Is he for real? And some people just have a couple quick questions, so they'll do a 15-minute reading. So sometimes I'll just do like quickly right before that, like, hey, what do I need to know? I got 15 minutes. I'm trying not to go over because I got to move on. I have other sessions today. So I'll try to pick up a couple things. So sometimes I'll pick up some stuff right before the session as well.
Yeah, it's like a little head start.
As soon as I see somebody or whatever it is, then I start pulling in information for them.
And what percentage of like people, say you're walking down the street, what percentage of people would you say have this like starseed, right? What percentage of people would be sort of, you'd be walking past and be like, you're this, you're that?
I can't say on a global scale, but there's probably like, I'm getting like around 30% that I'd be walking through. So you got your Earth seeds, they're group consciousness, they've never incarnated off planet. You got your galactics, you have lots of fairies. A lot of galactic beings I've found through the records, they might not come to Earth as a human first. They might go into the fairy realm or be a fairy first. So it's like an easing, like dipping your toes into the water. It's like, I don't want to be a Nicky human yet, so I'm going to be a fairy. I'm going to be a mermaid. I'm going to be, a freaking Keebler elf, because of the tiny ones, I call them that. And they'll be in the, they'll go in that, so it's more of a magical state. So they're retaining some more memory. They have more magical abilities than your average human. So sometimes they'll do a couple lives there, and then they'll work their way into the human realm.
It's crazy. You literally, when you talk, it's like you're talking about every sci-fi fan's dream. It's crazy in a good way. Talk to me about fairies. What the hell is a fairy? Like, just in general, obviously everyone's got their depiction of this little tiny or not so tiny.
Okay, spoiler alert, I haven't. I don't know if can you see that? Is it focused?
The Fairy Bible, yep.
Fairy Bible. So I just picked this up from Amazon a couple days ago. I still have to read through it because I'm starting to get more and more fairy beings coming to me as well. Okay. And so this has a whole bunch of them. I think some of them are on point, some of them aren't, but it looks like they have a pretty good amount in there. So, okay, each planet has fairies. So there are galactic fairies. I've had incarnations as galactic.
Like the depiction of a fairy? Are we talking little thing with wings, or like what is
some? Okay, so you have so there. I mean, I think there's like hundreds out there. I mean, this book is freaking thick as hell, and I don't even know if they got them all. But so you have your like 6 foot beautiful elves. Like they're like the ones that you see on like Lord of the Rings and all that. They got the ears.
That's my type of fairy. Everybody.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah. So you got those. You got some 3-footer elves, and they like I've seen some that are just they're that size. I've seen some that are actually covered in like leaves and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you have what I call like the Keebler elves, and they're like hanging out in trees and stuff. I haven't seen them baking any cookies yet, but they're hanging out in trees a lot. Caretakers of that. You got like other. Fairies. So you got the winged ones. So you got these like sprites. You got I call them the Tinkerbells or the Pixies. You got some that are a little bit bigger than that as well. They got the wings. Some actually have what's it called? Dragonfly wings.
Yeah.
And I'll see those on some people. What else you got? Mermaids and there's so many.
And these are all dimensional, though, right?
Yes. So what happens is when Earth was in the 5th dimension, humans and these fairies were actually all together. They lived like fairly harmoniously. Some stayed, in their own ways and stuff. But when we were in the 5th dimension, we were much more benevolent of a species. We weren't killing each other and killing everything we saw. Yeah. Once Atlantis fell and Earth plunged into the 3rd dimension. People became darker and darker, and the fairies essentially became endangered by humans, from humans. So they chose to go into their own realm, and so they're around us. They're around us right now. If you have a plant, if you have animals in the house, they're caretakers of those. So you're going to have fairies in the house, whether you can sense them or not. It depends. Now, people with a very high fairy energetic DNA in their system might be a little more inclined to be able to feel that, or once they awaken to those frequencies and those energies, they'll have that. Some of your animals might have had fairy lives as well, like they've incarnated as a fairy life with you. So
that's why you've got to treat your animals so good, people.
Exactly. So, and then also you have animals that have come to you from the galactic realm as well. So some starseeds actually have them. I've noticed a lot of Orion starseeds will have a Pleiadian, it's like a Pleiadian dog, or the dog has Pleiadian energy, and it's like they're coming to that Orion starseed to help them and to give them a, because many Orions have difficulty with, the duality and dramas and the karmic lessons that they've taken from Orion here. So the Pleiadian animals, I call them Pleiadian support animals or galactic support animals. They're there to assist them, just as regular animals do. So my previous dog, she actually had Syrian energy to her, and I didn't pick up on that, of course, until after she had passed, and I had attuned myself to the Galactic Records.
Yeah.
The dog I have now, Rue, she's actually more fairy. So when I saw her, fairies are all around her, and she's very much, her personality is much more fairy anyway. So.
They should put that on their glow-in-the-dark harnesses. Tell ya. They're not guide dog.
Exactly. Fairy guide dog. Yeah.
Exactly that. With regards to your, I'm going to call it a gift, right? There's so many people who write films, TV shows, and all this, and they literally are putting into visual representation what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So do you think there's not a secret society, but do you think there's all of these people are just in your position, they just don't talk publicly about it because they're scared of ridicule?
I think it's a lot of it's channel knowledge, and maybe they realize it, maybe they don't. Like George Lucas, channeled Orion and their Orion conflict. Gene Roddenberry channeled the Galactic Federation, and created the Earth, the human-centric Federation, where we started everything because we ascended. So got 10% of it right, but that's what the public needed to see. Americans and Americans leading the way to world peace, so galactic peace. Battlestar Galactica.
I love that show.
I know that, especially the 2004 version. I love that one. That once I learned more about the galactic history. So the Reptilians attacked the Lyran constellation. The Lyrans had those the feline lion beings. They had avian beings. They created the white Nordic humans, and also the blue Vegan humans, and they were driven out of their of the Lyran constellation by the Reptilians. That's Battlestar Galactica right there.
Yeah,
because they spread out throughout the galaxy, all these different tribes, these different planets. 12. I think maybe it was 12 different planets that were just driven from their homes by this relentless foe and forced to find. Well, they didn't find Earth, but they went to Sirius, the Pleiades, Andromeda. Again, Earth-centric because that's what we need as humans. But this is all just information, and many more out there as well. Many more information that is that essentially is that's helping us awaken and rise.
It's like a drip feed. It's like a drip feed of these things that we, it's like anything. They drip feed things into films and media to sort of get us ready for it. They're doing it for everything. They did it for COVID. They did it for, for everything pretty much. Yeah. And I think it's really handy because it does mean especially people like yourself, when it comes to it, you're not severely overwhelmed because you can sort of point it to a direction. You can reference it to something, So with regards to, you said reptilians a few times. Now I've got to talk about David Icke.
Yeah.
Reptilians. Are we talking physical reptilians? Is that a thing? Is that, in your opinion, or?
So the ones here are fourth dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
So when I don't think I've heard of David Icke. I haven't actually read or listened.
He's
to
a trip.
Yeah. But there was another guy, Frederick Dotson, I think I want to say. He did something called Levels of Consciousness, Spectrum of Consciousness. He did a few of those books, something like that. he was kind of like dipping my toes into like the spiritual realm. That was like right in the beginning, trying to understand what consciousness was, frequency, soul, stuff like that. And then I moved on from there. But so he was talking a lot about like the reptilians and the Pleiadian agenda or whatever. He got a few things right, but he missed a few too. But when he started talking about the reptilians living underneath, I was like, I want to find these guys. I want to, so my astral self went to one of these caves and tried to force my way into a cave. And this like literally like 8 foot tall, like probably 500 pound, like reptilian grabbed me, shook me, and then just tossed me off. And was like, get out. You're not welcome here. I haven't been back. Yep. Nope. I haven't been back since.
That was a warning you need. It was like the crocodile from Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, nope, that's it. That's all you got, man. That's all. So I think they're essentially on the ropes, in a boxing term. Like they're in a losing fight. They're moving on, but what they sometimes do will siphon energy off of people. They had more of a game of it in the past. Just like, maybe you might have like a demonic or a satanic being that will, latch onto you like a parasite. They're a freaking parasite. They try to pull energy. The reptilians sometimes will do that too. Some I've heard are actually incarnated on the planet. Some there's some. There's some ones out there that have like an evil agenda. But I've done readings for a couple of actual incarnated reptilians who have been who are very benevolent.
Okay.
And I'm always hesitant when I see them. I'm like, do I tell this person? Do I not? Like because reptilians have a bad rap. Same thing with the rays. There are some good ones out there. There are benevolent ones out there. But with this, it's like a society. I mean, just think about it. Like, somebody in like the Pleiades talk about, hey, have you seen those, you hear about those humans on Earth yet? And they're like, oh my God, aren't they like all evil? And it's like, no, it's like that gets a bad rap just because like those bad guys, those Nazis were like blowing shit up. It's like, so, the idea is like there are societies that are turning, they're turning a new leaf. They're becoming more benevolent. Earth, we're in that, we're in there. And that's why we have so many Starseeds volunteers that are here to try to raise the consciousness and help the group consciousness of Earth and the planet and the human species become more benevolent. Same thing with the reptilians as well. So there are some that are, powerful healers, uniters, trying to work with, the Galactic Federation, work with humanity. There's others that feed off of the greed, feed off of the hatred and the anger, and because they are energized by it too. And those are the malevolent ones.
But Hillary Clinton isn't a lizard in a human-shaped suit. Like, what people... So that's David Icke. That's David Icke.
Yeah. Hillary.
Or Trump.
They're
not lizards.
I don't know about her, but so I think she has some karmic lessons that she's going to need to work through. But who doesn't?
Yeah, well, that's very true. That's very true. So with regard, like with the things I know, this is where I'm going to ask these questions. So, Anunnaki, Planet X, is that a thing?
What I've seen from the records is that they came from not Planet X in our system. They might actually have a base there, or they used to, on whatever this planet was. They came from Nibiru, which was part of
Nibiru. Yes.
Yeah, which is part of Sirius C. So the Sirius constellation, they have the three main stars: Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius C.
Okay.
And A is like where you have like your classic Syrians, the Syrian mystery schools, magic schools. Think of Hogwarts in the galactic realm, that type of thing. Sirius B is more of a water world, so you have these like amphibian mermaid people, as well as like the regular Syrians now that were refugees that landed there. But think of them as the Nomo. They have a connection like in Africa with the I forgot the tribe's name now. Somebody probably will know and put in the comments.
Hopefully.
But I'll probably remember it like as soon as we click, end on this. So, yeah. So you have this. So you have the tribes there that the Nomo, like they reached out to, and they taught them. It's in Mali, in Africa. The Nomo also, which is interesting. I guess I'll get to the Anunnaki in a sec. But the Nomo, they have this power that I saw in the records. Several clients I've worked with have. Have been incarnated as Nomo before, and they could create portals in the water that actually connected to Earth. And what they would do is they come through these portals through their water into the Earth's oceans, and they dropped off they populated some of the Earth oceans with like whales, dolphins, other fish and stuff. And then they would come, and then they would actually do a connect with some of the Earth humans as well. And so some of this religion is like based on that.
Yeah.
And then you have Nibiru and Sirius C. So these were made up of mostly, it looks like vegan and reptilian refugees that came to Sirius C. So when the reptilians attacked the Lyran system, some of the reptilians, because like I said, they're not all bad, some were like, you know what, we're done with this. We're done with the endless wars. We're done with, invading and murdering societies. I flip. I'm on the other side. I'm with these guys. So they actually, they essentially left and defected and became joined the refugees fleeing the vegan system.
Okay.
And then they settled in the Sirius C system under this Nibiru planet. Well, the planet was very inhospitable, so the reptilians, some of them were really good geneticists and doctors. They actually spliced some of their genes into the vegans so that they could actually live on this planet better, so there's actually this like terrible Netflix movie that came out like 10 years ago. It had, I think, Sam Worthington in it, and so basically it was like Earth is dying and we're going to send people to like Saturn's moon of Titan or something, where it has like oceans, like methane oceans and stuff. And it's like, but we got to adapt this human into that, to survive on this planet.
Splicing.
Yeah, exactly. So they spliced some kind of like genetic modifications in him so that, Sam Worthington could swim the oceans of Titan. And then they tried to kill him for some reason. I don't know why. But it was a bad movie. But that's kind of stuff that they do in the galactic realm. And then they ended up doing it here as well. So what happened was they had a good benevolent society for a long time on Nibiru. Well, something happened with their star. Maybe it was like a flash or something, and it really jacked up their atmosphere. And to fix it, they needed essentially rare earth minerals, gold
wasn't
like
it?
Yeah. So they came to Earth. They toiled in the mines for a while, for thousands of years, and then eventually they had a revolt because being in this lower dimensional state, they some of them, like the leadership, got rich.
It was Enlil and Enkel, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I don't know too much of of that backstory. I'm pulling what I'm getting from the records. So they toiled in the mines. There was like a revolt and said like, we're done with this. So they're like, okay, well, we still need our stuff. We still need the gold. We still need the minerals. So they found the hominid species on Earth. And they're like, let's just drop our genetic DNA into them. We'll smart them up a bit. We'll turn on like this worship gene in them so they love us as gods. And then they'll be happy to like toil in the mines for us. So that worked for a while. And then all of a sudden, like after a few generations, just like a copy, taking a copy of a copy of a copy, with the copy machine, eventually it degrades. Well, our genetic like system started degrading. And it, some humans started rebelling against the Anunnaki. And having resistance movements, attacking them. Others were just dying in mass waves, and mothers weren't able to give birth to kids and stuff. And the Anunnaki were looking to have like a genocide on their hands, essentially, or mass deaths on their hands from this. So they essentially called out to the Syrians in Sirius A, as well as the Galactic Federation. They're like, help. We really screwed this human up. Can you help us with it? So members of the Galactic Federation, Pleiadians, Sirians, Arcturians, Andromedans, they all like came here. And they all set up shop. And they essentially took colonies around the planet. So the Arcturians actually, they had a colony in in England, and they're the ones that actually that set up Stonehenge. It was supposed to be essentially like a multi-dimensional portal.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, I had a reading with a woman just before our interview started, and I saw that she was actually had an Arcturian life that helped build the Stonehenge.
Wow.
Which was really cool. Yeah.
Full circle.
So, yeah, exactly. So when you said that, I'm like, oh my God.
That's crazy.
So they set up essentially colonies around the world to essentially help the humanity in the different pockets around the world. And then so they injected their DNA into us to stabilize us. And then once that happened, they started they're like, okay, well, now that we got them stabilized and they're doing okay, let's go ahead and start teaching them about the galactic realm, teaching them about, I guess the law of one has been kind of a big thing. I've been working with a couple of people that are law of one, like practitioners and priests or whatever, learning more about it and trying to bring it out. But it seems like law of the one has been kind of like a thing that's starting to come through. And like they were teaching about that. They were teaching about, just spiritual principles, psychic abilities, as well as just they wanted Earth to become a member of the galaxy. What I've seen now is that the universe is alive. It's a living organism. It's part of that. Yeah, it's part of that galactic consciousness, that God consciousness. It's all alive. So what happens on Earth can affect other realms. That's why when we started dropping nukes and testing them and killing millions, they started to take more of an interest in Earth again. But anyway, so they stabilized us. They propped up all these different civilizations, some advanced ones, and Lemuria and Atlantis were essentially like the beacons of human society. Atlantis was more of like the father god masculine consciousness, while Lemuria is more of the divine feminine consciousness, mother god consciousness. So Lemuria more spiritual technology, crystals, tarot, all that stuff. Atlantis it had it all. So it had spirituality, it had technology as well. So it was like giving, eventually it was like giving like a bunch of like tribal people like machine guns and saying, now you be nice with these now, and, and so but Atlantis, they for thousands of years they did okay. They were all right, but then the balance became more masculine in a way. So it was like more. It was like almost like that toxic masculinity. Just the balance of spirituality. Spirituality became. See it in some parts it was like more perverted in a way, not in like a weird way like that, but it's like they just started believing like almost like that they were the gods and stuff rather than other deities. And then the technology was just so overbalanced with that spirituality, and it was more reliant on that. And we're kind of like at that tipping point here on Earth as well, and that's why there's such 100%. A huge spiritual movement. But granted, we all have these damn phones and all this other stuff, and it's like we're talking about neural links and dropping things in our brains. So it's like this. We're at that breaking point again too, that Atlantis was at. So Atlantis, they went full, macho. They blew up and destroyed Lemuria, and then eventually it destroyed itself. Like people tearing each other in the streets. The crystal that powered the city destabilized and blew up half the island, and then the rest of it just like crumbled. And once that happened, it went below the oceans. It created that that flooding event. Around the world, and that was yet another reset on the Earth, and that's when we went to the third dimension. And they essentially Galactic said, "Look, we really kind of screwed this up." They're like, we gave the guys technology; they weren't ready for it. We need to let them evolve on their own. So they set up they set up a non-intervention treaty around the planet that all benevolent societies had to obey. Granted, a lot of the Greys and pirate societies out there and malevolent societies didn't abide by it, and that's why there was a lot of abductions, infiltration.
And is that why we get the sightings and, or because that's what I was going to ask around about like the nuclear facilities and that sort of thing where they physically manifest and.
So some of that is like Galactic Federation or, you know, individual members like the Pleiadians and stuff that are essentially, they're not trying to intimidate us. They're just trying to say, you don't need this.
Yes.
And if you're going to use it, we're going to intervene because if, you know, it's like, think of Earth as like your foot. And the rest
we're
of it
killing
is
their
like
babies.
the universe. So it's like, so it's like if Earth destroys itself, it's like cutting off your foot.
Yeah.
It's like, how the hell are you supposed to walk after that? So they're going to feel it.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I say the universe is alive. It's a living
100%.
organism. So that's why I say, like, you guys got to stop this. So what I've been getting, so I mentioned, so they want me to start channeling at some point. Back in June of this year, I got a message while I was sleeping from the Galactic Federation. Now, I'm not in like normal open contact with them, so I was a little like, why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Like, don't you have like some other guy? Like you got your Bashir, you got all these others.
Am I
like,
important enough for this?
Yeah, I'm like, this feels above my pay grade, man. But I don't know. They sent me a message. So they said it's like, what I got was like within a year, so June 2026. They're going to plan a disclosure event by like the Galactic Federation. Now, this isn't like landing on the White House lawn, you know, because they're illegal aliens and who knows what Trump will do with them. So, but, you know, I'll stay away from that subject. But anyway, they're not going to do that. That's not their plan. What I saw is that they're essentially going to open up like a portal or a Stargate in the atmosphere, and like a large like Galactic Federation ship will essentially emerge through it. And the idea is not to land, not to make physical contact that way. It's just, hey, we're here.
We're here. Yep.
Wake up. It's time to wake up. And the idea is that this might be on maybe in different continents where they see it. The idea is that they're trying to avoid what they told me is a timeline. They're trying to create a new timeline shift for us. So right now in a present timeline, we're in a trajectory for something that doesn't seem great.
That's like with all the wars and all that shit that's going down. Yep.
Exactly. I think that's kind of where it's leading. So what they want to do is create a timeline shift at this point next year where we go into start a new reality. And I was like, I don't know, I didn't fully understand what they were trying to get at with that. But they said if it doesn't achieve the desired goal that we're trying to do for Earth and humanity, we will reset the timeline again and essentially wipe your memories, the collective consciousness memory. So, I work with other psychics and I collaborate with them. And sometimes you need that sanity check, and I'm like,
yeah, sure.
Was this a dream? Was this real? What's up? So I asked my twin soul, she's my teaching co-teacher as well. I was like, did I make this crap up? Like, what's going on? She's like, no, let me tap in. So she tapped in and got a message from affirming what I got. They told her they attempted this in the 1950s. I feel like it was like 1954 or so. That they were trying to avert a timeline shift then and a disclosure event so Earth can join the global galactic community. It didn't have the desired effect. I don't know what happened, but it didn't work. They essentially wiped the collective consciousness mind.
Okay, I'm just going to check something. 1954, because...
What happened? So I know, I think it was the early 1950s, there was sightings over like the White House, D.C., there was like a mass UFO sighting. So I don't know if there was something major.
So they're saying the first meeting with aliens in the Eisenhower occurred at Edwards Air Force Base in February of 1954.
Okay.
President Eisenhower, something to do with secret meetings in President Eisenhower. I've not looked into it, but that's crazy. The fact that you say a date and you can just look it up and bang, it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting enough. So I actually filmed an interview with his granddaughter, the one who like
No way.
claim, yeah, the one who claims, to be part of the Earth. Was it the Martian mission or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have what it take to ask her about it then. I was on a different assignment. I was doing something for a military thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wish I was like, so talk to me about the aliens.
Yeah,
I
what's
really
going
wanted to.
on? Talk to me.
Yeah, exactly. You know something.
Well, the thing
So,
is,
yeah.
just to cut in, just so everybody listening, when you were talking about Nibiru, the Anunnaki,
Mm,
Enlil, Enkill, all these people, everything you said is in like some sort of conspiracy community is exactly what you've said. Just they just believe it's physically here.
yeah,
So that to me is crazy. That to me shows like there's something to it, because it's
yeah,
like you're just picking all this stuff up and you're talking about the gold. The gold is like a big thing, you know.
yeah.
Obviously there's a few like different divergents in it, but the moral story, I was blown away. I was like trying to stay quiet, like what the hell is going on
Yeah.
here? That blew my mind. I'll be totally
Yeah.
honest with you.
So yeah, and some people might say, "Oh, that didn't happen like that, John," or it didn't happen. This, yeah, it was more like this, or Atlantis didn't blow up Lemuria, or whatever. Think about this. I think we talked a little bit about it earlier. The Our souls will fractal into lives,
Hmm.
um, parallel lives, twin lives. So you have like a twin soul, twin flame, all that.
Yeah.
But they also fractal into alternate realities. So when you get a psychic that comes on and they talk about like the fall of Atlantis, and they're like, "Well, I was there and I saw it like this," it doesn't mean that they're wrong and I'm right, or I'm wrong and they're right. They might be picking up on the
Two
alternate
different.
reality,
Yeah.
two different realities.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times can Atlantis blow itself up? Probably thousands, if not
Yeah.
millions, of
Hundred
different
percent.
ways. Like,
Hundred
exactly.
percent.
So there's all these different realities out there that people are picking up on. Just think, your consciousness now, like you, Josh, may have been we may have like been in the same. Who knows? Let's say we just had a life together in 1908.
Hmm.
Or in the same like time frame in 1908. Maybe you were in Africa, I was in I don't know, Quebec. Just to say, I'm not actually picking this up. I'm just making crap up right
Yeah,
now. But
yeah, yeah. No,
I'm
go for it.
theoretical. So you're there. You're there. Well, your 1908 was an alternate reality where Africa fought back and pushed, the colonials out. Now it
Yeah,
owns,
yeah,
now it owns Europe or whatever. And mine was a reality where, I don't know, the Nazis took over Quebec and Canada. So there's like these alternate realities that are playing out based on decisions that were made, in a way, and that's our soul's way of. Essentially learning even more. So it's like, do I
yeah,
marry this person? Do I marry that person? And our soul is going to play out both those roads,
yeah,
and that way you learn more. So I realized I sometimes you can skip alternate realities and stuff. I think Joe
sure.
Dispenza probably talks about that too. It's like manifesting from your other life through
Yes,
the quantum
yes,
field. So it's
yes.
like in that life I'm rich, so I'm basically going to tap into like Johnny Rich and take his money, and
I
now I'm
learned
going
that
to be
on this
rich.
podcast, and that blew my mind because I
Hmm.
never understood what manifestation was, and
Yeah.
when it was worded to me in a sense of, look, there's an alternate reality where you have this, you're just tapping into it and pulling it. I'm like, cool. In what reality am I Joe Rogan, please? So with regards to so the physical reports and the physical things that people believe they've seen. So you've got like your Travis Walton, you've got your, like I mentioned earlier, David Icke, these sorts of people.
Mm.
The gentleman who believed he was at S4 and seen the spaceships, or, and Bigfoot, all these sorts of things. Is there anything that you can like sit there and say like, this physical report I believe is real, or like, for an example, cryptids, let's go with that, even Bigfoot, like, is there anything in there where you can go, yep, this is a real thing? Or
So what happens is if they're in a different dimension, even if it's like a fourth dimensional being, like a lot of those grays we were talking about, they're
Yeah.
like upper fourth dimension.
I believe Bigfoot is a multi-dimensional entity, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, so I actually I did a podcast with someone earlier today, and I was like, what's going on with this Bigfoot energy? And I literally I was like seeing Bigfoot with my mind's eye over his left shoulder, and he was like bouncer. He's like, crossed like. So I mean, it's like not he wasn't exactly in the room, but it's just like that Bigfoot energy that's like you have him on your spiritual support team, and he's there. And for this particular gentleman, it's like he's his like bouncer. He's there to
Shout out
protect
to
him.
Pete, by the way. I know Pete. Shout out to
Oh, you
Pete.
know Pete?
Yeah.
Oh, did you listen to that? Yeah, Pete.
No,
Pete
I
versus
just
anxiety?
know him. I just know him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I did his his podcast earlier today, and I was like, Pete, why do you have
hit
like
me up.
Bigfoot? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, that's so funny. So we're talking about Bigfoot with him. Let's see. So have I? I'm trying to think. So I've seen. For me, sometimes I'll see, and some psychics have like really well developed like vision, like literally their eyes. Like I told you that the one time I did see the gray, he wasn't
Yes.
like, it's not like he was literally in the room next to me, but I could just like his like so visceral image, like in my face, eyes wide open. Now, other like I've seen at times like movements. I've seen. Balls of light
Yeah.
moving. And then sometimes like I know I've looked up and sometimes like I've seen portals like open in my in my ceiling and literally like something sticks its head out. Now it's like so it's like very translucent. So it's partially mind's eye. So like inner vision and partially like literally seeing it with my eyes as well. So
Do
yeah. So
you
when I got
think?
yeah.
Sorry to butt in, but what I've started to think, and I've literally just thought of this. You know that there's these people around the world who they believe they've seen like your Bigfoot. They believe they've seen the Greys. They believe they've seen I heard a story about two people who were traveling in a like a camper van. You don't call them camper vans over there. You call them the caravans that they drive,
Oh, like an RV or whatever.
RV,
Yeah,
that's the one.
recreational vehicle. Yeah.
That's the one. So there was this story about these people in an RV. They stopped at a field, and loads of like tiny little beings came out, little what they would call aliens. Do you think that people could maybe be possible go through a bit of trauma or go through something where they're opening up that third eye and they're seeing this temporarily, and that's where these reports are coming from?
That's a possibility. You know what I'm getting from this is that like that field, essentially like a fourth dimensional shift. So kind of like what we talk about with Stonehenge being this like portal. So what I'm seeing here is this temporary fourth dimensional portal that was opened so that these beings could like literally be out in the open and can be visible from outside observers. So that's the knowledge that I'm getting right now of what's like that's happening. So I do believe that people have seen Bigfoot. There's some people out there that I don't know who they are, I forgot, but they literally have like recordings of Bigfoot.
Yeah, like the howls.
Like outside the tent, howls, like communicating with him, stuff like that. Why they don't have an image of him, I don't know, or her, I guess. So
I suppose it might not even be able to be caught up on camera because of the dimensional differences. There's so many different things to look at. I don't want to keep you too long. I do have one more question.
Oh yeah, we go as long as you want. I'm done for the day. So.
I would like to know, like, generally, because in my head, I feel like you're walking through this every day of your life. This is happening to you all the time. Like, how has that affected your life? Like, I'm sure it's had so many positive effects, but I'm like, that's got to have affected your life in like a major way.
So, I mean, it certainly has had its implications. There's the fun part of like learning all this stuff and all that. And, like feeling like, oh, I can do this now, or this just happened to me, or, I remember, I remember when I first started doing this, I would tell my sister about like, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened. And then like, I don't know, she asked me like a year ago, like, oh, what's been going on? Or I saw this happening. And she's like, because she's psychic too. And she's like, has this, have you ever seen this? I'm like, this stuff is happening to me on a daily freaking basis now. Like, I was like, I don't even report it unless it's like big news for me. And then I'll tell her nowadays. But on a different note, like a personal note, I've pulled away from others too, like people that I just like. I'll use that term resonate. Like I don't resonate. Like we're on different paths now. Like I was seeing, this great woman for several years, and we're together, and I figured we'd be together for the rest of our lives, and then just basically like at the start of this year, I went through like an even more deeper spiritual transformation, more than I thought I would. I've lost more veils, like on several occasions, and I started to feel this disconnect with her. That like and she was a great person. She's still an amazing woman. But it's like we just stopped growing at one point. And although she was supportive of the spiritual stuff that I'm doing, she couldn't understand any of it. So it's like, how do you tell her like, oh yeah, I just had 6 interdimensional grays trying to take my soul or do something to me in the middle of the night? Like she wouldn't get it. She wouldn't be able to understand that. She'd be like, oh, that sucks. But it's like,
unlucky.
It just got to that point. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'm not going to stay over anymore. Sorry. But so it's like there was just this like it started to become this like disconnect and an energetic disconnect, and just like I just realized like unfortunately I gotta I have to let her go, and it's for her own good too, so she can find the right person that she's really resonating with and that she can continue to grow with, because it's like we were just kind of going in a different direction.
We've all got to fulfill our journey, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. So, things like that. But it's also made me realize, like, I don't need negative people in my life anymore.
100%.
Like, I'm trying to be better. I can't be, I call it, sometimes, like, I just say, like, I can't be that blissful idiot walking around all the time, like, the big smile on his face and, like, living in the 8th dimension. Like, I wish, but I'm just not there. Like, I'm a Scorpio. I'm a moody at times. That's just who I am. I got to embrace that shadow, but it means that I also want to be a better person as well, and look at the bright side, not be cynical, see the positive in things, because I want to be able to pass that on to my children.
That's how I live life.
Yeah. My family, they practice cynicism like a religion. And, sadly, it's like still there for some of them. And it's tough to be around that. And I don't, and I'm lucky that I was able to see that pattern in my life and realize, okay, I don't want this. I chose not to want that anymore. So, and I try to be that example for my children as well, and allow them to have more of that positive, because I don't want that light to go out in their eyes.
100%. I'm like that. My missus says it all the time. I'm overly positive. Apparently, I'm overly positive.
You're the blissful idiot that I wish to be.
I am a glass half full kind of guy when it comes to everything. Like, honestly, car breaks down, I'm like, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. We can do this.
Good. I was looking to walk. I wanted some extra exercise. Yeah.
Literally.
I had too much money in the bank. I want to throw money at that new engine. Yeah. Love it.
You're joking, but that is literally me. That's so
beautiful.
Funny. No, that's cool. I genuinely, I've had a freaking amazing time talking to you today. It's been brilliant, and I would love to talk to you again as well to get a bit deeper. 100%. So yeah, I mean, all I'll say is, if anybody is, I guess, feeling sort of in a spiritual sense, or they want to learn more about this, have you got any sort of guidance for them, where they could go, what they could do?
Sure. Yeah. So I wanted my website to be not just, hey, book a session and learn more. I wanted it to be an educational experience. So my website is galactic-guidance.com. And when you go on there, yeah, perfect. Thank you. When you go on there, you can go to the About Me page, learn a little bit more about me. I have a galactic history page, and then I channeled this over like 3 days of writing for, I don't know, 7-8 hours a day. And basically I go from like the beginning, like, here is God, God created Earth, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, I went through like creation of physicality. I talked about Lyra, I call it the Great Lyran Diaspora, the Battlestar Galactica moment in history. Pleiades, talk about the Syrians, a little bit about starseed types and what to expect. So you can kind of identify and see. You know, there is. I don't. I should say this too. There's a misnomer that every starseed is like a certain starseed, Pleiadian starseed, Styrian starseed. You might have a lot of that energy, but most likely you've bounced around and in different incarnations. So the person I talked today, she started in Lyra as a Nordic, then she went to Arcturus, and then she bounced somewhere else, Sirius. So she was like 3 or 4 different places that we just uncovered in one session.
Wow.
And then we went into her fairy lives as well. So mostly I talk about that. Eventually, I'm going to add on more of the different societies that I'm seeing out there. I've been encountering more people that have been incarnated galactic fairies as well. So there's some really cool ones. There's like a blob. I think it's in Andromeda. It's like this blobby like fairy, and it like covers over a rock, and then it essentially drains the rock's nutrients, like pulls the nutrients out of the rock to feed, and then it moves on from there. It's just
a bit like Venom. Sort of.
Yeah, kind of like that. So there's I don't know if you ever saw that show, The Orville. It's Seth MacFarlane's take on Star Trek. There was
I don't think so.
Yeah, so there was a comedian called named Norm Macdonald who voiced one of these actors in the show, who was this blob, and he was like, you know, he was a comedic, like really big comedic element of the show, kind of a horny guy, but you know, it was just like. So like that stuff, it's like channel knowledge. So it's like when I saw them, like I'm telling this person, I'm like, you were this blobby, like Andromedan fairy who like sucked on rocks, basically, and like, you know, trying to understand like what does this really all have to do with your present incarnation. So we look at that. So anyway, I got all the history, and then I have some teaser videos as well, and that's where I cut up a bunch of readings I had, and just kind of giving you like an idea of like these different fairy lives, galactic lives. We did some activations, some healings in them, and then I used AI photo and video generators to you know, essentially just to like animate it and create a short movie out of it, like 3-minute long videos, because that's a filmmaker in me, is that I want to I wanted to entertain but also educate. So
it's also good to have a visual of these the things you're talking about, you know.
Yeah, and people have seen that, have been like, oh my God, you know, like when I saw that, that's what I was seeing, or that really resonated with me. Like I got full body chills. So, I mean, it took me like months to create the AI videos and the photos, because I for a lot of them, I just couldn't settle with like a certain image. Like I had it in my mind's eye, what I was being channeled, what this being looked like, and I had to get it right, or I'd lose my freaking mind. So that's why, like, I wanted to get it done within a few weeks. It took like 2.5 months. So.
Sometimes it's so hard as well to like get a picture in your mind onto paper or onto the screen. It's like I have so many great ideas, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do this, and then next thing you know, I'm like, this is bloody hard. Like I can't like do it, you know. So no. All right, brilliant. Well, listen, like I say, as always, thank you for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll put all of your links in the description. And everybody listening, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Remember to hit that like button. Remember to comment, subscribe, share, do all the good stuff. And as I always say to everybody listening, just be happy. And when you see your friend and you ask them, how are you? Just mean it. Don't say it as a greeting. Just actually mean, how are you? Because it could change their life. It could change their day. You never know what they're going through. Thanks for listening. Love you all. Peace.